Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. Can you hear me, Morgan?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good. I can hear you clear too. Um, yeah. I decided to do this one outside since it's not too hot this morning. It's a nice breeze blowing. Hopefully, nobody start cutting grass because it is grass cutting time. And the topic that we had today, I just thought it would be cool to do it from outside, especially since it's not hot. Because typically, if it's hot, because it can be hot this early in Maryland at this time of the year, but today is a really nice breeze blowing, so I can't complain.
It's storming here, but
it is?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nikki. I saw Stan this morning. Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Darren. Hey, buddy. What's up? Darren is here on time. So, I was sharing with Morgan that for the people who normally watch this on Facebook Live, they can't today because StreamYard and Facebook must have some kind of beef going on, and I got caught up in it. So until they can finish my appeal, I cannot stream on Facebook Live. So if you are looking for it, if y'all can share it out on IG, share it out on your Facebook, that would be great. But they actually have to share and come in through the YouTube link this morning. Very few people watch it from Facebook. Most people will click the YouTube link, but there are people I know that are only reminded of the show through the link itself, through the Facebook post alone. So I'm going to start the show shortly. We're going to get into a lot today. I mean, I thought for me, very interesting topics, Morgan, and very interesting research into animals, you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of the animals that I did, we have here. So it was fun to brush up on all the things.
Yeah, and I thought it was weird, like for me, because I ended up with a lot of the rattlesnakes and how, even though they're rattlesnakes, just how they differentiate in chemotoxins in some cases and in response. But some of them, like literally the timber rattlesnake, which is very popular up in this area, not just in the backyard. You would have to go.
Did you do that one?
Did I? No, I think that was yours.
Okay. I'm just making sure because
no. I had to pull up the pictures. I had to load all the pictures in here. So when I was loading the picture, I was like, oh my God, this looks like an IMG rattlesnake. Like, I actually want to find one. It's beautiful. With a long
I've come across them with my son. They're pretty chill.
So they are, and they talked. It talked about that, like, you know, how they were very, you know, solitary, pretty much. But see, in Maryland, you will stumble across maybe a copperhead that's very close by a wooded area. But for us to see rattlesnakes like this randomly, it's not happening. You have to be in the woods or somewhere like that. Like, I never worry about going anywhere in my backyard seeing any kind of snake for that matter. Although there's water not too far, like
we find them like on our front porch.
Yes, that's how different the South is. And I think it's because, I mean, I don't know the reason why, because some of the snakes that you guys had, we have too.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say it's just a temperature thing because we get pretty hot in the summertime.
It's not, because there's some that you can find in North Mississippi, and then some that are only found in South Mississippi with like on the coast and stuff. It varies on how humid it is, what kind of like soil there is, how hot it is, what kind of prey items are nearby.
Yeah, but what makes them, because like you live in a very developed area, what makes them just straggle up to your porch? Like, because
my neighborhood is like completely surrounded by woods. But okay, so I lived in the city growing up, and we would find them there because there was a creek behind the neighborhood. Like, there's nowhere in the state of Mississippi that you're not going to find a snake.
And see, it's totally opposite here. Like there's a creek right behind me. There's a pond. I can go over there right now and I will not see a snake at all. Now, if I go into like we're closer to our beaches, I can turn over, our seas. You can turn over rocks and find like water snakes and stuff like that, brown snakes. But like to see a rattlesnake, you have to literally go herping into the woods. And so it's so
rattlesnakes are hard to come across, even here. But their population is steadily going down, and that's why people are killing them left and right. I'm so mad. Somebody found a pygmy rattlesnake in the neighborhood last year, and they killed it. I was pissed. That's like my dream snake to come across.
Well, I would be honest. I'm actually interested in looking for a temple rattlesnake after this. I mean, just seeing one in person. Not that I would bring it at home.
I came across one. I was driving down this dirt road. We've got a lot of those here, and I saw one. It was huge, and I almost wrecked my car, like trying to avoid it because I didn't want to hit it. I got out of the car. Me and my son, who was 5 at the time, got out. We're looking at it, and I took a picture of my son in the background, but he looked like he was like 2 feet away from the snake because of the angle. I sent it to my parents, and they lost their minds. They were like, "Why would you let him near that? You need to run it over." But it was my son. That was 3 years ago. He still talks about coming across that snake, walking up on it, just watching it for a while. It was very, very chill.
Yeah, I'm not bothered if they're not defensive. But like I said, when I go look for it, it will be with a very long pole. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That won't be that bold. So just a quick, brief announcements before we get into this topic. Just to remind everybody that Daytona is coming up, and I hope to see you all there real soon. That is August the 17th through the 18th. I think we'll be there the 15th through the 19th. So hope to see you guys soon. And then July 20th is Gettysburg. We will be vending again at Gettysburg. A great time. Even if you're not planning on making a purchase, it's a great place to bring the children out to see some amazing animals and get some education about them as well. So with that being said, I also am a huge pygmy fan. Darren said he's a pygmy fan too. So let's get started. So I think what we will do, you want to go first with one, or I'll go first with one, then you go, and then we'll just go back and forth till we cover it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So
I'm gonna start it.
you can go ahead. I want you to go ahead.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the first one. Do you want me to go by like the top deadliest or like the least? Let's do like the least deadliest and go up.
No, I just went straight from the list. So however way you want to go, I just it's no particular order. So however way you want to go.
Okay.
We just picked the top 10. So just so y'all know, these are the top 10. Actually, is the top 10 most venomous, not necessarily the most deadly, because some of these, and one of mine is the most deadliest snake almost in the world, but it's the most venomous, but not the most deadliest, because it hasn't killed a lot of people because of how it lives. So we did the top 10 most venomous snakes in North America. So there may be some deadlier because people come across them more, but we did the top 10 most venomous. So go ahead. Good morning, nephew.
Okay. The first one I did was the eastern coral snake, and it's one we have in Mississippi, but we don't have them. It's one of our, we have 6 venomous snakes in the state, but these guys live on the coast. You're going to find them in Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, but all that are only on the coastline. They're going to stay underground mostly. And if y'all don't know, they're very little. They're about the size of a very small king snake. Teeny tiny. They look very closely to the scarlet king snake. A lot of people get them confused. Their venom is 20 times stronger than any of the rattlesnakes we have here in the US. But what makes them not as, people hear that and they think like, oh my God, like they're going to kill you. There's been one death since 1967. So while their venom is 20 times stronger than any of the rattlesnakes, they only push out 2% of the venom that a rattlesnake would. And to envenomate is kind of like the Gila monster, where you have to chew on your prey to envenomate.
Okay, so like those envenomates that same way with their rear fangs, so they kind of keep going.
So so they're not rear fang, but they have these two little teeth in the front that they don't look like pit viper fangs. So a lot of people think, oh, they're deadly, they're going to kill you, whatever. They live underground for the most part. They're very small. They're very elusive. People do not generally come across them very often. And they have to chew on you to envenomate. Their venom is a little bit different than the rest of the venomous snakes in the US, because the rest of them, I believe, are pit vipers, and this one is not. Their neurotoxins cause paralysis. Let's see, where am I looking at? I wrote all this down so I didn't forget nothing.
Yeah, I had to write down a note. There was too much information to put on all of my head, so I had to write it down.
So it's going to cause a lot of neurological issues. You're going to be drowsy, slurred your speech, get into this state of like euphoria before your body becomes paralyzed, and then you go into respiratory failure and kick the bucket. What generally happens, they will bite you, chew on you, and there will not be any pain or swelling. And that it could take up to 13 hours to have any sort of effects from a coral snake. But once you do start having those effects, you're probably going to be dead within a couple hours if you don't get treatment. But like I said, their bites are very rare because they're hard as hell to find. Also, okay, so I wrote this down. This is the last thing I'm going to say about the eastern coral snake. I read this article from 2010 where they had to milk 69,000 coral snakes to make any amount of anti-venom for these animals. 69,000.
That's why I don't know them.
So many people, like so very few people got bit by coral snakes that most of it went to waste. It expired before it was ever used. So they decided to not make any more anti-venom for the eastern coral snake. So,
wow. Interesting.
Well, they said it wasn't profitable.
Well, it doesn't.
Went to waste.
And I guess it doesn't envenomate that often because of where it locates itself.
Yeah, they're hard as hell to find, and they literally have to chew on you to envenomate. So, like I said, it's at 67. How many years? That's one person died in 67. That's it. And that's what. So we haven't been with. I'm not sure if that's the eastern coral snake or the Texas coral snake. They have not made any more anti-venom for those snakes. So, and you can't use the anti-venom from like a rattlesnake. It won't work because the neurotoxins are a little bit different.
Now, there's a common snake that looks very much to that, except for the bands are different.
It's the scarlet king snake.
Okay.
And so it's the same colors, but you know what? I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm in this group on Facebook. There's a lot of people that think you can go by this one rhyme, if red and yellow are touching.
Right.
Don't mess with it. There's been plenty of examples where we've seen an all black coral snake or an all yellow one. Or you see a scarlet king snake that looks a little bit different and the red and yellow are touching. You can't go by the colors alone. But in general, they have the 3 colors and they're in a certain order. But like sometimes they can look different. Like we've come across white cottonmouths.
That's always
that like
over here.
Really?
Well, not all white. I'm talking about like compared to like most cottonmouths are very deep dark brown or black. We've seen, especially like in the I was saying the North Carolina areas where they're much lighter than that. Almost like
they're generally darker, like green here. But so the coral snake, there was somebody that picked one up over the weekend that was like, look at this king snake, and all the herpetologists in Mississippi were like, that's a coral snake. Put it down. So you can't go by colors alone. You have to look at different markers. All right, which one are you going to do next?
All right, good morning, everyone coming in. So for those of you who are joining, this is more of an educational 2 P's in the podcast, so it's going to probably be a little longer than usual because we did study for this one.
I did. Like, I was so excited. I got my little binder out, my pen, and did like a whole like research thing. I'm like, now I want to go back to school. This was fun.
I ain't saying all that, but I love researching stuff like this because, like I said, we learned so much. We both learned so much. Good morning, John. So the one that I'm doing next is the black rattlesnake. Now let me go to that photo. That should be easy to find. There we go. All right, so we're going to start with the black rattlesnake. And like I said, I covered a lot of the rattlesnakes in my portion, with the exception of one of my snakes that I'm going to cover. But it was interesting to see how they're the same but can be different in not just in habitat or approach or demeanor, but even in their hemotoxins and how you should respond to them. So the black rattlesnake is also known as the Arizona black snake, the Arizona black rattlesnake. I am not trying to say the scientific name. You can look it up. It is Crotalus cerberus or something like that. But if you Google black rattlesnake, I'm sure it's right next to it. Okay. And its physical appearance is black or brown with white or yellow edge hexagonal blotches. It averages 31 to 43 inches. It is in the Viperidae family. It is a pit viper. So Morgan mentioned that most of the animals in North America are pit vipers with some rare exceptions. One of the exceptions we're going to talk about later as well. If you shall come across one, now first of all, they are also named Arizona black snake, but don't get it twisted. You can find these in Virginia. You can find them in Maryland. You can find them anywhere on the western coast for sure, but they have migrated to certain areas of the East Coast. It's rare that you will see the Arizona black on the East Coast, but there is certain points of Virginia, North Carolina, and Maryland that they have this one. If you shall get bit by one of these, you're going to experience extreme pain, swelling, excessive bleeding, nausea, and difficulty breathing. However, you won't die quickly. So if y'all remember, Morgan talked about this, and that's what prompted us to do this. Morgan talked briefly about some of the animals that's in her area, that if you're bitten by them, you don't die quickly. Now we're going to talk about different rattlesnakes where the situation is different depending on which one. But in this particular case, in the black rattlesnake or the Arizona black, you should seek assistance immediately. You definitely will have extreme pain, swelling, excessive bleeding, nausea, and difficulty breathing. However, death don't occur unless you don't get treatment within 2 to 3 days. I don't know who would get bit by a rattlesnake and not go get treatment, but especially in 2 to 3 days, you a G. But you are okay typically if you get bit and you get quick response to your area of bite. try to seek out the venom. You should try to suck out the venom from that particular area with this particular rattlesnake. So I want to be very specific with this particular rattlesnake. They do recommend that you do try to suck the venom out the point of entry. Wash the area where the bite is, and you're going to remain calm and apply a tourniquet until you seek medical attention. Now, one of the things with this one, and you're going to hear it a little differently with some of the other ones coming next. With this one, it tells you to apply the tourniquet and seek assistance. With some other bites, you're going to hear me say, and with other rattlesnakes, that you have to repeat that. You have to even change the tourniquet, remove the tourniquet, clean the area again. Like, repeat that until you get to where you need to go to get medical assistance. So I wanted to point that out. But with this particular rattlesnake, clean the area really good once. And if you're in an area that you don't have like soap and water or antibacterial soap or something like that, this is where you see in the movies that they use the alcohol that they took on the trip. Okay, that is, you rather do that to not use anything at all. It's going to probably burn and hurt like hell, but it's highly recommended to try to get that poison or that venom from seeping down deeper into your tissue, because as it's going in there, it is destroying your tissue. You're going to see some beautiful rattlesnakes as we get through this. The black rattlesnake wasn't a pretty one for me, but there are some beautiful rattlesnakes, and it made me actually feel like I want to go herp and look for some with a very long stick and long boots. That's all I need. I'm only worried about my ankles. and them striking in their striking distance. So that's my first one. So we got to get ready. Morgan, your second one. So that's 2. We got 10. So we did the top 10. There was actually, I think, a top 13 in North America, but we stuck with this top 10.
Good. Okay, so my next one is the Mojave rattlesnake, or the green Mojave. Look who decided to show up. It's Chris. Finally.
There we go.
All right, yeah. So the Mojave rattlesnake, or the Mojave green rattlesnake, is probably the most deadly, the most deadly of the rattlesnakes in North America. They generally, you will find them in the Mojave Desert around Southern California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. You're going to find, they're only going to be in the desert, pretty much. While they are considered the most venomous and the most dangerous, there are bites every year, but paramedics in those areas carry plenty of anti-venom for this snake specifically. So there hasn't been any deaths. I couldn't find a documented death, but it's because of the anti-venom. If you do not seek treatment within a couple of days, you have a 60% chance of dying from this bite, which is higher than any of the other snakes. Let's see, they're highly venomous. Their venom is a potent mix of neurotoxins and hemotoxins, which they're going to break down your blood cells, and you're going to bleed. You're going to bleed internally until you die. So if you find yourself in the Mojave Desert and you get bit by one of these cute little things, please call an ambulance. What's going to happen is you're going to have severe pain, swelling, tissue damage. It is going to eat away at your tissue while basically liquidizing your insides. Super fun stuff. So you're going to have things like muscle weakness, difficulty breathing, vision problems. It doesn't sound fun, but the good thing is there has not been any documented deaths in the last 30 years because paramedics are going to, in that area where these snakes are specific to, they know how to treat it. But if you don't get treatment, you're dying. Let's see. Recommended medical treatment would be anti-venom, respiratory support, all that stuff. Basically, you're going to be in the hospital being watched for a week. Not good stuff. Yeah, that's the Mojave rattlesnake.
Oh,
That might be one that I really just don't want to come across.
Right. All right, so this one to me was very interesting because we don't never even, well, I don't think of sea snakes a lot because I feel like if I think of them, those going to be only in Australia, Indonesia, and places like that. But we have one, which is one of the most deadliest snakes in the world, and it's called the beaked sea snake. It has a scientific name. You can look that up. It's right next to it. It's hydrophis, of course, because it pertains to the water. But then this other word, schistosus. I have no idea where these people come up with these. That's what we need to research. How do they come up with the scientific names for these animals? Because I get the water part. I don't know what that other part means. And maybe one day we should break that down. It is, though, in North America. And it is in the waters mainly of north of Baja, California, which is a place that people visit often and going to the beaches, and Hawaii. Now, there's not a lot of deaths by this animal simply because it typically doesn't come too close to the shore often or out the water, rarely. But when it does come out the water, it typically is, and there's people around, it's a very defensive snake, of course, because it's a water snake and it normally damn sure don't see people. Okay. So the only thing that keeps it from not being one of the most deadliest snakes by count is the fact that it doesn't come out of water, but it is definitely one of the most venomous because it is highly venomous. The snake is a yellow belly everything, Keith. It's a yellow belly sea snake, amongst the deadliest of any snake in North America, but because it rarely leaves the water, it has been no reported death. The venom is 4 to 8 times more venomous than a cobra, and every bite has 7.9 through 9 milligrams of toxic venom. However, it only needs 1.5 milligrams to kill a human, so it's like 6 times, 7 times more toxic than it even needs to be to kill you. Outside of North America, you find this snake a lot in the waters of the Arabian Sea, the Persian Gulf, south of Seychelles and Madagascar, India, Bangladesh, and of course South Asia, which is Indonesia, and those places like that, Bali. If you are in the water and you see one, get out immediately. It's a highly defensive animal. If you get bit by one, very important to apply pressure, wrap the area as far up as you can. So if you're bit on your hand, you should be wrapping the area from below the bite all the way up to your neck, so all the way up to here. If you do not do that, you are not helping prevent the spread of the venom, because it can spread really quickly. Every 10 minutes, remove the bandage. This was another one. This is one that every 10 minutes until you seek help, you remove the bandage, clear, clean, and reapply the bandage. So you're going to repeat step 1 over again every 10 minutes. You want to also immobilize the limb. So this is something that you don't hear a lot with the rattlesnakes. You're going to want to like stick it, put a stick in it to keep it stiff and immobilize it so it's not moving around, it's not flapping around. You want to keep that venom stabilized under that pressure. And then you want to control your airway, control your breathing. Very, very important. And if you don't get help fast enough, your airway is one of the first places that's going to begin to close up. So that's why they tell you to try to take very short breaths to keep yourself calm and to keep that airway from overworking and overconstricting. But most importantly, if you come across a beaked sea snake in the water, or if you come across any sea snake in the water, get out the water, because apparently these things are lurking, and most sea snakes I have read are venomous. So that's interesting.
So you just stay out of the water. You got people in Destin being bit by sharks. You got manatees coming up, stingrays, taking famous people out. Like, Lord, just stay out of the water.
What happened to Steve? I had never heard that ever. So to hear the recent one, I'm like, wow.
I've never heard of that happening since then. I'm like,
oh, it happened recently. Someone got stung by a stingray recently. Yep, on vacation. Yep.
I went swimming with them in Mexico. It was fun.
We did too. We always, I like them. My husband don't. He loves sharks, but we always got to do the sharks. We always got to do the stingrays. And we do those close encounter ones. I am not a big fan of sharks, but I love stingrays.
They're fun. I've seen them a lot in Destin, Pensacola. Mainly Pensacola, but they're cool to come across. They got the cute little faces if they come up.
Kilo said, I feel like once you bit, it's already over. Look, we was talking
emotionally, psychologically, I'm gone. I'm dead. Just take me out. Physically, like, you can recover, but mentally, I just don't think I ever could.
But that's why we're doing this, because I think it's important because like I said, it's interesting as I went through some of these to know that, like, for a rattlesnake, that's how I would think. If I get bit by a timber rattlesnake, I'm just going to die. But you got time. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes it's days. And you might get a real bad infection and may have to lose tissue.
Yeah, the timber rattlesnake specifically, you have about 27 hours to get to the hospital. I looked it up after my timber rattlesnake thing, and because we'll go out to these creeks and stuff that are like an hour or two away from hospitals, and there's snakes everywhere, and people are like, oh, what do you do if you get bit? Like, you're just gonna drop dead in the creek? I'm like, no, you have time. It's gonna be okay. All right, my next one is one that I was excited about. I didn't have to do a whole lot of research about it because we have them everywhere here. It's the cottonmouth.
Okay.
Eastern cottonmouth.
It's easy to find that picture because the mouth is always open. Hold
on. Yes. That and a diamondback rattlesnake are my favorite venomous snakes in North America. They're beautiful to come across. Little babies. So you're gonna find them in all around the southeastern part of the U.S. So Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, up to North Carolina, Texas. Their venom contains hemotoxins and cytotoxins. Let's see what that does to your body. It breaks down your blood cells and prevents blood clotting. Causes significant pain and swelling at the bite site, along with tissue destruction and bleeding. Systemic effects can include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness, and severe cases, hemorrhage and hypertension. Less than 1% of all snakebite deaths in the U.S. happen from the cottonmouth. And some of y'all have heard me talk about getting bit by a cottonmouth as a teenager. I got bit on my ankle. I thought that I scraped my ankle on a thorn bush coming out of a lake. I did not. I was 17 and I also did not have health insurance, so my dumb ass did not go to the hospital. Still have my leg, did not die. Do not recommend though, because my leg, when we say like severe pain, for about 6 months, I had severe random shooting pains all down that leg. Like severe swelling, just not fun. You don't want to get bit by one, but while they are one of like the top 3 venomous snakes in the U.S., you can survive a cottonmouth bite without antivenom. Recommended medical treatment, antivenom, of course, pain management, wound care, basically watch for respiratory distress, things like that. Immediately, like as soon as you get bit, hopefully not. It says remove any tight clothing or jewelry. Do not use a tourniquet. try to keep the affected limb immobilized at or below the level of the heart to slow the spread of the venom. Do not attempt to suck out the venom or use a tourniquet. These methods will worsen the situation. And yeah, get your ass to the hospital. Get some pain meds.
What talked about again, I'm glad the reason why we did this, because that's something that I think universally we all think that that's what you're supposed to do. Every snake bite, you put the tourniquet on, you suck out the venom. And so there are some, like, we talked about earlier, there are some that we covered, like I think the very first black rattlesnake, that you are supposed to do that, but very specific.
Right.
What am I
saying?
You should
all the ones in Mississippi do not use a tourniquet whatsoever. I don't know how it is in the rest of the U.S., but the Mississippi ones, then that's, if you're out and about, hiking and doing all of these stuff in other areas, you should like you need to do research and look at what you should do in case of all this stuff. Because I know what it's like in Mississippi, but if I went to Arizona and got bit by a rattlesnake there, I wouldn't know. I haven't done a whole lot of research on venomous snakes there.
Right. All right, so the next one we're gonna go, I'll do the one I can't pronounce. I think it's this one. Yes, the Massasauga rattlesnake. Also has a scientific name. You can look that up. It's mainly located in the eastern and central North America. It is a pit only identified as gray or tan found color pattern with a row of large rounded brown black blotches or spots down the center of the back and 3 rows of alternating spots down each side. There are also known solid black melanistic examples out there as well. The snake is a cytotoxic venom, so it destroys tissue quickly. It also contains specialized enzymes that disrupt blood flow and prevent blood clotting. There are only known incidents of death in Ontario, Canada, where the victims didn't seek treatment immediately. But in this particular case, because the hemotoxin is so powerful, the recommendation is to seek assistance immediately. This is another one that you do not want to suck out the venom because it disrupts blood flow by preventing clotting. So if you're preventing clotting, that means you're going to be bleeding out. So you don't want to force the bleeding out by sucking out the venom. So this is another one that you don't want to apply the tourniquet, suck out the venom, take those steps. You want to just make sure that you stay calm, control your breathing and your airway. You want to definitely make sure that you clean the area, but seek help immediately. Okay. That is the Massasauga rattlesnake.
Oh man, yeah, that's one that I really did not know a whole lot about.
Yeah,
I've never done any. I don't pronounce it either.
Well, no, you should have seen me even spelling it. It was like how you do Mississippi, M-I, quick letter, I had to do M-A, quick letter A,
I haven't heard that since like first grade.
M-I, quick letter I, quick letter I, humpback, I. It was from Good Times. That's how the mom would try to spell Mississippi.
M-I-S, yeah. But we don't pronounce it like that here. It's not Mississippi. It's Mississippi.
It's what?
Mississippi. We're missing a bunch of letters in the pronunciation.
But you know what? Mississippi. I can see that too.
Yeah, our pronunciation is a little bit different. Did you get that pronunciation thing I sent you on TikTok last night?
Yes. Yes.
I want to do it. I want to do it so bad. It's not snake related, but I just want to see what people in like California, Maryland. We're gonna get Chris to do it. I don't know if he opened that message, but we're gonna get him to do it. Just so, and he can make fun of me forever.
Well, Darren, that's a good point. That was one of the reasons why I hated hiking with my Roddy, because he would pick up snakes all the time, and I never wanted him to get bit by, a snake randomly. And it's not in here, but I remember watching that for some reason dogs' response to snake bites are worse than our response as humans. I don't know the reason, but I remember them saying it. I guess something I'll look up.
Yeah, I've looked into it because we have a lot of that here. Generally, your small dogs, if a Chihuahua gets bit by a cottonmouth, they're not going to make it. But if a German Shepherd were to get bit, there's going to be a shit ton of swelling for a few days, but generally they'll be okay. And I think it has something to do with the size of the animal. So if you take a little bitty Chihuahua, that venom is going to be more potent all over the body. And kind of take over. You take a 200-pound dog or a 100-pound dog, there's not going to be that. It's not going to be as. It's going to be more. The venom is going to be more diluted within a larger animal.
Right.
That's how you see, like young kids. You take like a 2 or 3-year-old that gets bit by cottonmouth or something, they have a higher chance of losing their limbs and things like that.
Or dying. Because there has been young kids bit by even rattlesnakes and died in Georgia and died pretty quickly.
Yeah, and they're so small, so all that venom stays concentrated. So before I go on to the next one, there's never been a snake bite death in Mississippi, ever documented. And there's snakes everywhere here, every fucking where. Even in the city, you walk out and they're like, oh shit, rattlesnake on my front porch.
That's crazy.
They're everywhere. But no documented deaths. Because even though they're the most deadly, venomous and all this stuff, doesn't mean they're going to kill you. Someone said, Sea of Serpents, cottonmouths, they're studying for breast cancer treatment. That is correct. They already use, my next snake is the copperhead. They've been using copperhead venom for breast cancer treatment. And I think it's the cottonmouth they use for diabetes, or maybe it's the copperhead. I don't know. But yeah, so they're finding all this venom, helping other medical things. So what happens with the copperhead venom is it stops the growth of breast cancer. So they've been using that. That's exciting.
If you think about it, there's so many things that is poisonous or venomous or poisonous that you can, if you removed a tumor outside of the body and poured it on it, it would kill it. The problem is, like with a lot of the stuff that they make for breast cancer, it also kills the other cells and tissues that we actually need, and that's where the challenge becomes, right? Because there's snake venom used already in modern medicine every single day, including in
that's what we wouldn't have like insulin for diabetics if we didn't have copperheads. And that's what I have a lot of friends here with diabetes, or their children have diabetes. And so when my son was diagnosed, that's another thing. I was like, okay, so the life-saving medication can't have without venomous snakes.
Right.
Blows people away. And I love being able to tell people that, try to change people's opinions on them. But my next snake is the copperhead. The fatality rate is, so it's number 4 on the most venomous snake.
And hands down, I've always said, this is what we see most here. If we're going to see a snake, it's one of the most prettiest snakes, even as a baby.
They're so pretty.
They look
pretty. They look like velvet. If you see them like up close.
Yeah.
So they're number 4 on my list. But the fatality rate is 0.01% of all snake bite deaths. in the U.S. The number is so low, it's ridiculous. So there's been 5 deaths in 30 years. There's a lot of copperhead bites.
I'm sorry.
Is that your phone? Oh, you're
It
on.
is, but I can't see. Oh, it's one of the kids. Hold on, let me decline it here. I got my phone. I thought my phone was on Do Not Disturb. It is on Do Not Disturb. Oh, they calling through the iPad. Lord Jesus.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Stop. I'm going to block them for 1 second because they will not stop. Well, let me call them and this time I'll call them right back. Hold on.
Okay. All right, so yeah, there's been 5 deaths in 30 years. Shit ton of bites, but
hey, baby, I'm on my live. I'm gonna have to call y'all right back, okay? All right, I'm gonna call you back. Yeah, you can call, babe. All right. Come on, can we call my husband? Can we call, babe?
That's cute.
Right.
So they're considered less toxic than a cottonmouth. Antivenin most of the time is not used for these. So while they are number 4 on the top most venomous list, most of the time you will not receive antivenin. It will just be monitoring for a few days. So a lot of people think that, oh my gosh, copperhead, because their heads, their faces do look very intimidating. A lot of people are terrified of them, but they don't realize there's really nothing to do except in the extreme cases. Like if a child got bit, yes, they would get antivenin. If I got bit by a copperhead, I'd be fine. Bites will cause localized pain, swelling, and tissue damage. Have generally mild nausea, vomiting, dizziness. Severe reactions are very rare, but can occur in young children or really old people. The recommended medical treatment is to go to the hospital and just let them monitor your heart rate, basically, and give you pain medication. That's it. You probably will not receive medication for this bite. Like I said, the fatality rate is 0.01%. They're not deadly. They're just very pretty. They're just going to add a little bit of spice to your life. That's it. You'll be fine.
Says Morgan.
Yep, says me. I'm going to start giving out medical advice.
Right, exactly. Good morning, excited world of geckos. Thank you for coming through. Stand up. Okay, so what's my next one? Oh, Western Diamondback. One of the pretty ones.
I see. I want an Eastern Diamondback. Those are the most prettiest snakes.
All right, just gotta find it. Hold on. That it? No, that's the timber. No, I got it on here. Hold on. There we go. Western Diamondback. So the Western Diamondback, also known as the Texas Diamondback, as y'all can see, a lot of these snakes are in Texas, okay? A lot of them.
Texas and Arizona.
Yep, Texas and Arizona.
That's where I need to move. That's be right on my alley.
They're mostly responsible for most snake bites in the United States and in northern Mexico. They normally grow 5 to 7 feet, but males can grow much larger. They're typically a khaki brown color, as you see here, but can also be pinkish, brick red, yellowish, and even white in the wild, which I did not know that you can find albinos that often in the wild. So that is specifically in northern Mexico. They are solitary animals, so they typically like to just be by themselves and being left alone. But with that being said, as we talked about some of the other solitary animals, it makes them highly defensive, which is the reason why they are responsible for most of these snake bites in the United States and northern Mexico. If you are bitten by a Western Diamondback. And for those of you who are really interested, or people watching this playback, pay attention to the difference, specifically with the rattlesnakes that we're talking about, because there are different nuances. Like, I don't want you to think that you're going to treat yourself the same way with each rattlesnake in the world, because clearly, as me and Morgan have covered this, it's different things for different rattlesnakes, and you want to make sure that you're empowered enough to know which is which. Severe or life-threatening symptoms occur within minutes or a couple of hours. So this is different from the other rattlesnakes we talked about, okay? You heard me talk about 20, we placed at 27 hours, 2 to 3 days. This one is quicker, and it's the one that you want to come across the most in North America. So it's important to understand that this is not the one that this is the one that you're going to run to the hospital, okay? Not the one that you just want to be taking your time, because you will see the symptoms and it can be deadly within minutes or a couple of hours. Call 911. Life-saving measures must happen immediately. And already, as we discussed with other rattlesnakes, you just want to make sure that you're not placing the tourniquet on this one either. This is one that you just pretty much want to clean the area and get help as quick as possible, hoping someone has some sort of anti-venom around if possible. But if you do seek medical attention immediately, chances are you will be hospitalized for a few days, you will be given some anti-venom, and then you will be released. But you will definitely experience more tissue damage, because it's happening more rapidly than with some of the other rattlesnakes, where tissue damage is occurring but not as potent as the Western Diamondback. So I call this one the ugly rattlesnake. So when y'all see this one, run, okay? Because this is the less cutest one out of all of them. There are some that are absolutely gorgeous.
The Eastern Diamondback is incredible. We have them here, and I want one. I want to keep one so bad. Oh man! All right, so my last one is another rattlesnake. Is the timber rattlesnake or the canebrake rattlesnake. They're not the smallest of the rattlesnakes. They're the smallest next to the pygmy rattlesnake. Pygmy rattlesnake,
timber, right?
The timber.
That's the one I want to know.
Is that it? Yeah. So they're not that dark here.
That is beautiful, though.
It is. They are absolutely gorgeous.
It looks like a nice rattlesnake.
So they're the next. So the one that I came across was about 4 feet long, very thick, and they're the smallest of the rattlesnakes next to the pygmy rattlesnake. The pygmy rattlesnakes are about the size of my forefinger. They're teeny tiny. If you see them out in the wild, if you tell me you saw one in the wild and you take a picture, I'm not going to believe you, because they're so small, you're not going to be able to see it. They would hide under a leaf pretty well. Anyway, timber rattlesnake, even though they're one of the smallest, they are responsible for the most deaths in the U.S. I'm not sure why that is, why the Mojave rattlesnake is the most venomous, but the timber rattlesnake packs the most punch.
But you said, I was going to say, probably because, well, two things. You see more of them, like as you said, in your area, y'all see timber rattlesnakes all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's probably they most deadly because they're biting more, and when they do bite, it's a highly toxic bite too.
Yeah, but they're not I've come across them and they're very chill. I walked right up on one and it just looked at me like, I don't know. They're very chill. But so in the last 30 years, there's only been 22 deaths. People get bit by them yearly, so it's, there's less than 1 in 600 chance of you dying from this. But there have been reported deaths the last 30 years. So the timber rattlesnake, canebrake rattlesnake, it's the same thing. They're all over the East. So you take basically St. Louis, Missouri, and all across the East. You can find them in Mississippi, you can find them in Michigan, you can find them in Maryland, Florida, whole east side of the U.S. They're highly venomous. Their venom contains a mix of neurotoxins and hemotoxins. What that's going to do to your body, it will cause intense pain, swelling, and tissue damage. Like a lot of the others, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, blood clotting disorders. So you do have the potential to bleed out. Now, if one of these things bit me, their teeth are like 3 inches long. Their fangs are about 3 inches long. If it bit me, I would die just knowing that 3-inch fangs went into my body.
Right.
I don't care about any of this. I'd be dead on the spot. They will damage blood vessels and the tissues. Recommended medical treatment, do not use a tourniquet. Do not try to suck out the venom. Remove any tight clothing or jewelry. Get to the hospital. You have about 27 hours before this thing like really kills you. So you have time, but do get to the hospital as quickly as you can. You will get anti-venom and be put on respiratory support more than likely. Intensive care is likely. So,
Y'all see how Morgan be so like nonchalant about this? Like, okay, like
oh yeah, you might die, but it's pretty.
Right. You're gonna spend
It's
a
a pretty
little time in
safe.
intensive care. It ain't that serious. It ain't that serious. It's nothing to write home about.
Yes.
So I'm ending on another rattlesnake. So if y'all can see that in North America, our biggest venomous snake group is definitely the rattlesnakes. And again, there were more. We just covered the top 10 instead of the top 13. But I think the ones that we picked are the ones that's more common that you will come across. And this last one actually is noted to be one of the most common rattlesnakes in the United States. It goes as far as Canada to Texas, or across from Iowa to East Idaho. But this is one that most people recognize as a rattlesnake. It's the prairie rattlesnake. A lot of people think we see the eastern diamondback a lot, and you do. I think if you're out in the more country areas, but this one is the one that most people see most of the time. But of course, if you're like me, if you see a rattlesnake, they all eastern diamondbacks. all of them. That's the eastern diamondback. That's the eastern diamondback. But eastern diamondbacks really, really, really big compared to what a prairie rattlesnake would get. They are huge. I have seen one of them in person. They are really large snakes for a rattlesnake.
Are they?
Yeah.
So how long does the prairie rattlesnake get?
The prairie rattlesnake only gets up to about 5 feet. That's at max. Yeah.
Only. Now, when you have like 15 to 20 foot snakes at home, and then you say only a 5 foot rattlesnake,
5 feet, right? I know, right?
keep in mind, like the rattlesnakes are heavy bodied. They are a heavy bodied snake. They are big. So a 5 foot rattlesnake is very sensitive.
So the prairie snake rattlesnake also has a scientific name. You can look it up if you're interested in that. I'm not trying to pronounce it. Most well-known and easily identifiable snake in the United States, as we talked about. They're normally an olive green or greenish brown color. Although dangerous, they don't attack. They're very chill animals. They are very calm. Even if you come across their path, if you're not directly approaching them, they will definitely not engage with you. But you should not engage with them either. Bite treatment: if you are bitten by one, stay calm. Call dispatch immediately. Wash the bite area. Remove jewelry immediately. Remove watches, remove rings, or anything, because you're going to swell pretty quickly and you don't want anything to constrict that swelling. Immobilize the affected area if you can, and keep the bite below the heart if possible. Again, there are so many different nuances, and I think Morgan mentioned a really important thing. When hiking and things like this is where you have to have some type of access to Google. So I know like some cell phones don't go too deep or anything like that, but you got to find or buy the necessary accessories to make sure that you have additional services or if not, know where you're hiking and know every particular animal that you could come across in that area that you may have to treat yourself for. Print that course of treatment out. So if you do get bit, you can identify by the picture. You can pull it out of a backpack and read exactly what you should do. Because my concern is, as me and Morgan have read these things and studied these over the weekend, I don't know if I would remember what to do or which one it is or anything like that without having that documentation with me. Because some of these, like this one, even go as far as immediately taking off your jewelry because you're going to swell really fast. But the swelling is helping you in this case. So don't have anything to constrict the swelling in the way. So that's something that's very important. And then it talks about keep the bite below the heart possible. And we heard other ones say that you want to kind of, constrict anything from going up in that area. This one, it definitely wants you to, going below. You want to keep this one below the heart if possible. So that means that if you're bitten on your arm, try to keep your arm down by your side instead of raising it up or to the side. Like another one told us to split it and hold it out to the side or hold it up. This one is saying don't do that. So we done covered out of these 10, I think at least 7 of these were rattlesnakes, or 8 of these were rattlesnakes specifically. And none of them had the same course of treatment.
I think 7 of them.
Yeah, I think it's 7. And
rattlesnakes.
And then all of them has like different nuances to how you should treat them. And like I said, one small mistake, like putting the arm, mobilizing the arm or sucking the venom when you shouldn't suck the venom, like this can cause you further death. And then they say it's rare. Only 1 of 100 deaths have been reported per year for a prairie rattlesnake, which is good considering, as they also say, this is the one that most people see most often in the area.
Where are those found again?
So they're found anywhere across North America, anywhere from Canada to Texas or from Iowa to Idaho going across. So
oh, wow.
They're pretty much everywhere. So if you only have 1 death out of all of those possible encounters, it tells you how they are really not defensive. They're very isolated in most cases. And like I said, if you come across one, one was sitting there right now, unless I directly approach it, it would never approach me. Where you do have something like an Eastern Diamondback, if it was right there that close to me, I am in striking range, that it would be defensive. It would try to strike it.
Right. And they can strike up to a third of their body. So if you take it as 6 feet long,
right,
they can strike 2 feet.
And that's
2 feet away. And that's if they're laying, not even in striking mode, if they're laying down flat on the ground, just in a split second, they're extremely quick. Strike 2 feet. So we covered it all. We got the top 10. That's Darren, what's the time on this? Oh, we did it in an hour too. Wait a minute. We get a trophy. We getting a trophy. We did all of that in an hour. Darren, I would keep a venomous snake. I want to.
You said it with excitement. I would.
Yes. Now I have a very my 8-year-old is always coming in here getting snakes out. My 5-year-old would probably try to kiss it. His favorite snake is the one that bit him on the lip. So I probably don't need to keep venomous while they are very young. But I do plan to get some venomous ones in the future. A coral snake would be pretty, but you remember what I said, like they live primarily underground, so it's going to be like a spicy sandbell. You're going to be looking at pet dirt. You're not going to see it.
Yeah, if I was crazy, I would definitely have a gaboon. That would be my choice if I was crazy. And that's because too, like
give me a Eastern Diamondback, whatever, but you will not catch me with a gaboon viper. I've seen them at expos, and their heads are they're like this big. They are just the babies are even intimidating.
They are gorgeous
to
though.
look
I
at.
like the fact that they are pretty much they're not hyper snakes. They're very lazy snakes. Although they can move, they can go from 0 to 100 really, really quick.
They're
it
very
will-
thick bodied too. They're
Yeah, and they have huge
do.
fangs. I think they have the hugest fangs of the venomous.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if I
good.
look crazy, that's what I do. But no, for me, my thing is what I love about owning snakes is the ability to engage with them. That's why I love the big snakes. I love the fact that the big snakes are so confident to just engage with me in all kinds of ways. The same thing for the larger lizards. That's what I love about them. I love the fact that they're so confident that even though I'm this big human, that they are so engaging with me. And so it would be so hard. Like I would be the person who would want to hold the gaboon, as stupid as that sounds. So
I'd hold a rattlesnake. Even after hearing all these 7 rattlesnakes, I'd hold one.
Never.
But I would not hold a gaboon viper.
I will say that I do want to see a timber rattlesnake in person. I would pick it up with a very long stick so I can admire its beauty in the sunlight. Because I do think that in this research, that was one of the most beautiful snakes I ever seen, as far as a venomous rattlesnake that we do have in North America. Because it's not something that I'm gonna see normally. Darren said,
I'll send you the pictures I have of the one I came across.
We can't keep venomous here in Maryland either. Anything with fangs longer than my fingers can stay.
Stay away. In Mississippi, you can keep venomous, but it just cannot be anything that's native. Yeah. Other than that, Mississippi, Louisiana, pretty lawless. As far as things like that goes, I can keep a cobra, but if I get caught picking up a turtle off the side of the road, I could catch a felony. I understand. I'm glad that they protect the native species. Some stuff.
Yeah, I'm really big on that too. Like I do love. That's why I think though it goes back to what we need. Some of this stuff is needed in nature to really balance the ecosystem. Like that's a real thing. But I don't know. For me, I think it's more of when it comes to, and that was another thing we looked at. I didn't know their minds, but on the charts that we was reading, they had the rarity of like if they was becoming extinct and stuff like that. None of these rattlesnakes that we covered are extinct. It's plenty of them where they come from. So I think that is because of the preservation. You know what I mean? Like
the numbers have gone down, like way down. But they're not extinct. If people continue to kill them in 20 years time, they could be extinct. But you have things like the rattlesnake roundup and that kind of shit, and then people basically killing them for trophies and whatever. I hate it. It makes me sick. They're they're our most gorgeous snakes in North America, and people kill them left and right, basically as an ego thing. Oh, look this big bad animal, I killed it.
Yeah. Maki's point. I always say, Maki, being a long-time herper for over 35 years, the problem where the laws came in, there was no laws before. The laws came in from the people who were doing dumb stuff with animals. So I do believe that laws should be in place. And I do believe that some of them in place right now, like even down for me, like I do believe that there should be restrictions. Like I don't think that you should be able to have a 20-foot snake living in an apartment building. I don't. I think you should have to be a homeowner to do that. So I do believe that there's some things that should be regulated. But when it comes to certain things, I believe that as long as you're responsible, just like with owning dogs or, breeding dogs, anything else like that, it shouldn't be an issue. But the problem is, like I always say, even with the pit bull would be just fine if people didn't fight them. No one was tripping about people owning pit bulls, hunting with them and all that type of stuff. It wasn't until they became fighting dogs. And then all the laws came into place because we thought of them being fighting dogs. They also became a breed of dog that became more aggressive or defensive than they used to be, and so children started to get harmed, and so that's what happens. So I always say that's why I'm big on, and like certain things I just won't do, like feeding my snakes and stuff like that. I don't do, right? because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because it's not a good look. It's not a good look to the people who are going to help make the laws. But sometimes we are so fixated on like views that people still do that. And that's where the laws come from.
Yeah.
So I stand on when I see stuff like that, I say something because it's the reason why we have these laws. It's not because of your keeping or my keeping or Morgan's keeping. It's because of those rare people in the hobby who sensationalize things and or treat animals badly, for sensationalism. And it creates a whole atmosphere. Like last week, how everybody was tripping about now owl snakes want to eat us again. You know what I'm saying? No, they're not. Like that's.
I've gotten so many comments like that.
Oh my God! Like, stop it! Like it's so annoying. And every time I look at even my biggest, I look at Hefe and imagine it. And I know Hefe probably look at me and say, "Ain't no way I'm eating that." Like come on, like we just big. Like I mean, you talk about animals who would deny a rabbit that's too big, let alone wanting to eat it. And if that's happened, if you ever fed your animal that's too big, they won't eat it. They know what they can eat. Then you give them the smaller prey, then they eat the smaller prey. It's the same thing. Like they can.
Right.
Not
That'd be an interesting video. I don't know. I'm not totally against feeding videos. Feeding live videos. I think the people that do that they're the same people that get snakes to look like a badass or whatever. Like, ooh, look what I have. It tells me a lot about people's like ego, things like that, when they share things like that. I'm not against feeding videos completely because I do like the educational aspect of it. I get a lot of questions. What do they eat? How do they eat? How do they eat? And things like that. What does that process look like? People do get curious about it. So for that, I'm okay. But if I'm not gonna video my snakes eating every time just for views and likes.
I mean, I think that like even for people, they ask that on lives all the time. Again, there's ways
that's
that
morbid curiosity.
Yeah. But that's something you can Google on National Geographic on Google any day. And people accept that greater because National Geographic is a world national show. It's not like the person next door. It's not like Morgan over there feeding the rabbit. You know what I mean? And I just think that like we're gonna always fight these laws until we get out of this passion. Like every time I post, specifically the big snakes, right? And honestly, in here, bad things don't happen. I don't have snakes like biting, striking, and stuff like that. I just don't. But what I do show is the most genuinely caring, not caring, I'm saying the most genuine, sensitive, empathetic, loving, passionate moments we have. Because that's what people don't see. That's what National Geographic don't get the opportunity to show you. So that's what I try to show, which you can't Google. You can't Google some of the stuff that I'm going to show you because it's not there. You can't Google the lady touching the snake tongue. Yeah. You have to go to my YouTube channel to see that. You can't.
Now, one thing I will say, so people people look at this video of Matilda get in my face and they're like, oh, she's sizing you up. She's going to eat you, things like that. It would be an interesting video to show what it looks like when she's just exploring versus when she's in feeding mode or when she's defensive. Because that's something like people see her being calm and they think, oh, she's going to strike. She's not in striking mode, so that's not,
Well, that's why I do like the morning lives, like when we open up all the doors and stuff like that, because I like to show the different approaches to all of the animals at one time. But I'm not against like people showing, the difference between a snake being defensive and not being defensive. I just think the audience has to be very structured. That has to be a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? That has to be That's not an IG. That's not a TikTok. That's something that is where your niche viewer is at.
Oh, this one was like crawling out on the floor. I let her out in the morning and she just kind of roams around.
My Irish girl pregnant again right now. Should be laying her eggs any day. If reptiles
so
can get the money that firearms does, you can get them Walmart.
I believe that. Yeah, people were asking me if I was going to breed chicks and stuff. And they're like, you could make so much money. I don't care how much money you could make from it. I'm not.
You can.
That's not why we do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that can't be why you do it, because I have 11 adults. I don't breed all of them because you can make money, but you can lose money because you got to feed those babies, and people, you got to pace it out. Like, and you're not talking about ball pythons. You're talking about snakes that had 40 babies at one time. Mm-hmm. Plus, you know what I mean?
That's what I was explaining to my sister-in-law. I said, if I've got 40 to 50 babies and I can't find good homes for them, and these snakes that are going to be 15, 20 feet long, I've got to house them. I've got to feed them. The housing for one of those snakes.
Yes, Eric.
I don't want to do that. So I probably would not breed. I might do it just to, like, one time just to see. I don't know. In the, couple of years, but it's not on my mind at the time.
It's for me. Like I said, for me, I would never breed no more than, like with Chala. I would never breed the next breed tick until all the babies are gone, type of thing. Like that type of thing. And that's how I did it. So I would always have probably one clutch a year, except for the cow. The cow is one of the babies that I do plan to produce for generations. So the cow may be bred more often than any other female that I have, but that would be about 3 years from now. Like, I wouldn't do it all. Like right now, I got some of Chala babies that I held back that I want to grow up and pay them back to her. So I don't want to. I just think ball pythons is different from retic. You can breed all the ball pythons you want. You can make a house.
Right, because housing them isn't going to be as big of an ordeal as housing
all their lives. With a retic, it has to be out their rack system within a year, and that's a big rack system. I'm not talking about little racks. They ain't standing on little rack systems. Like, my babies went into a big rack system soon as babies, but you got to get them out of there, and within a year. So. Yeah, it's just like it concerns me that people still, and when I say people, I'm talking about not even the breeders who could afford to supply for them. It annoys me that people still breeding them so often, and not caring where they go. And I will always take pride in every reticulated python that I sold. I care where they went, and I can look at a video right now, see a picture of them, see how those animals are doing, because they are in the great care of the people who I sold them to. And I also look at the other day, one of the people I denied selling a retic to in Retic Nation, on there with the retic in this enclosure, looking like with a question about why is the retic looking up like that? Get them out that fucking enclosure that is damn sure not the best husbandry for. He just got a retic, and I'm glad I didn't sell it. And I kept saying, this name sound familiar. So, I screenshot everybody I denied. And it was the person I denied. And I was like, thank God, because I would have passed out if my baby was in that situation.
Oh, that's what I was explaining this yesterday. It was like the morality of it. It's more difficult to find somebody that is up for keeping a snake that large and keeping them correctly, giving them enrichment in the space and time that they require. It's not like a king snake that can be kept in a little bitty, shouldn't be kept in a little bitty, but whatever. It's going to be more difficult to find people that are capable or up for that type of care.
So that's the answer kilo question. So for me, it depends on what we call easier. I would say timing for ball pythons is very important, but they're easy to breed when the timing is right. If the follicular growth is there, they're easy to breed. If the male is ready and the female is ready, they lie. Reticulated pythons, easy to breed when you got a male and a female who get along. You can have a female kill a male. You can have a female eat the male if they don't get along. So for me, I would say it was so easy because my animals were so close. So it was like, I didn't have any concerns of that type of behavior. She was ready. He was ready. It was easy. And the process with retics to me were more on point, like boom, 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 boom. Where ball pythons, can, and so can retics too, but it's rare. They can grow follicles, and those follicles can diminish. They cannot go all the way to ovulation. So I would say overall, ball pythons are easier because of the breeding process and your ability to keep them. Retics, even as when the babies come out, you can put ball python babies in their drawer, feed them, and not worry about them. Retic babies have to be managed and handled, especially if you're planning on selling them to other people. And that's, daily and all day to get them ready to be the retics that some of us put in other people's hands. That process is a whole lot more tedious than it is when it comes to ball pythons. Ball pythons, after they born, they have their first shed, throw them in the drawer. I don't want to say it like that, but throw them in their rag systems, put them in a little cocoa in there, some water, feed them. You ain't got to deal with them like that. You want to put eyes on them, make sure they're healthy and stuff like that. But retic babies, you got to touch, you got to pick up, you need to show them, hey, don't do this, don't do that. It's like raising children.
That's what they're like toddlers that wreak havoc on your house. Makes sense.
I know that's right, Hugh. And the thing is with the cows, like if you didn't sell not one, I could look at all 80 of them every day. Like they're just a beautiful animal, and it will be a beautiful animal, never, regardless of. Because you remember when I bought my cows at that time was like $6,000. You can get a cow now for $2,500. So it's not like, even though the price value of them dropped because more have been produced, the value of the beauty of looking at the animal will never change. Same thing for a pyretic. I don't care how many, the most beautiful retics produced. Same thing for the dark golden child, the motley golden child. I just think that certain things, regardless, they just look at. I can look at Chala all her life, every day, and she would just be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state. And it's crazy because Hefe, who is my favorite retic, when I talk about as far as behavior and everything, Hefe is a beautiful boy, a gorgeous boy. But I don't, like, if I had a whole room full of Hefes, I'll get bored. I'll never get bored of looking at Chala or a combo of Chala, like those motley sunfires, like y'all babies in the sun and stuff like that. That iridescence on them are just gorgeous, especially you and Maki's, because it has like that orange, that sunfire really like pushes out of it. Like those are the snakes that you breed regardless.
I want a wild type retic.
Oh, I have one from Tyler Clutch. Tyler Clutch that I held back. It's beautiful too. Oh. Yeah, you want to see her? Real fast.
Yeah.
She's the only normal in that clutch, but you can tell that she's het for everything.
He's like, I'm just over here vibing out with all my coffee. Oh man, so I have 4 retics now. I got the purple albino, motley sunfire, a golden child, and then a super tiger. I got them all basically to have completely different genes within each one. So if I chose to breed in the future, I have a bunch of different options. But I don't know if I'll go that way. I just wanted to do that just in case. Get on my grind. Have an amazing day. Thank you for hopping in. Let's see. I hadn't been paying attention to the comments like the last few minutes. Let's see. First snake breeding experience going to be with Boas. So by next season, my female should be ready. That's exciting. I don't have any. I know you're gonna ask me. I don't have any tips. I've never bred. I am getting my first boa in a couple of weeks. I'm excited about it. I love like watching the YouTube videos of them having like births and all that. It's cool to see.
Hold on, she waiting out the thing. Hold on.
Oh my God, look how little. How old is this one?
This is the same. She's the same age as yours.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what
pretty.
I said. If I get the all of them definitely shows like different sizes, different genetics. If I go get the albino, she's big. Like she's huge compared to this one. And it's like all of them just growing at their own pace. They fed the same. That's why I tell people that's why you cannot determine just because of the mom and dad what they're going to be. Because this one is trending to be smaller than mom and dad, where the other ones, a couple of them are huge.
Yeah. I look at Nikita now, and for a while Chris's Nokia was bigger than mine, and I saw him holding her up on live not too long ago. I was like, I think Nikita's like double her size now. I need to put her on a diet. She's gotten so big.
Yeah, they're growing really fast. Like that Motley Albino Golden Child, and she's actually for sale. I'm like, somebody better buy her real fast, because if not, you can be in the big state. She is getting huge, and it's nothing like they fed the same. She just, I don't know, she take all her food. So kilo boas are much harder to breed. The process is much longer. The ovulation process is much longer. All of that. It's so much different. So you have to be very patient. I will tell you that it's best to wait until the winter and get those temperatures very down real low. Like I always get my females down to like 70 before I start to pair them. Now, once you put the male in it, when she's ready, they lock right away. It's just the process of her ovulating. They have live births. They don't have eggs, so it's just a different process.
I love seeing the live births on YouTube. That would be worth it to breed boas for me. But I grew up like watching dogs and stuff give birth, and I don't know. I loved seeing the whole process. I think seeing that with snakes would be great.
It's just like I said, it's a natural process. Now, I've never we saw Charla when she first started pushing, but I don't interrupt them. I always cover them up. I do believe that you can a female go egg bound if you don't let her lay her eggs in private. And to me, that is just like when we having kids. A woman in birth, an animal in birth is probably one of the most sensitive times of their lives. And I just don't, you're not going to see a camera pressed up to them. When Charla was in labor and we knew that was her, like she was getting ready to lay, we covered her cage up. We didn't want no interruptions. We didn't want her to just focus on getting those babies here healthy. And I think that's important. Specifically with the larger snakes, because they normally are in big enclosures where they're not like just enclosed off in a rack system. So if you look at her eyes, you can't see it on camera probably. It's actually orange and white. I don't know how Nikita eyes is, but her eyes is, I can't remember how Nikita eyes. Hers actually got like a orange color, but it got white specks in it too. It's so pretty.
Yeah. Nikita's eyes are like gold.
Yeah. So Nikita's eyes is more like the super Molly's then. Yeah, this is he's
Love it.
just. Yeah,
Okay.
he came out. I was like, oh my god! And she has the iridescence and everything too. But she's
Yeah.
a wild type.
Darren said, working is your husband a part of your reptile hobby? My wife wants no parts of it. She'll go check temps when I'm not home. Turn on the heat source. Not really. He would if I asked him to, but I'm very particular in how things are done and kept, and not saying that he wouldn't, take care of them the way that I would, but I like to be the one to do all the things, so I know for sure what's been done, what hasn't been done, how it was done, that sort of thing. He likes the snakes. Sometimes I'll take them in his office and let them hang out while he's working. But he doesn't take care of them unless I needed him to. But he's the one, so he got, like, when we met, he was interested in snakes, and we got a ball python when we moved in together, and that was like his thing. I wanted no parts of it. I liked the native species and all that. I wanted no parts of a pet snake, and now I have a whole room in my house with pet snakes.
That's crazy how it changes.
I know, and now he will come to me and ask me questions about the snakes and how to take care of them and things like that. We just completely flip scripts over here. I'm gonna spill my coffee. Oh my gosh. I want one.
I really felt up. She was the only normal though, but she was a beautiful one. But she's I had elbow.
Excuse me. Gosh. Oh man, yeah. If I like I was saying earlier, I got all of my retics, and I got them all with completely different genes in case I wanted to breed later on, just so I'd have more to work with, as far as like being diverse. But I don't know if I will go. I don't know if I'm going to go that direction or not. But Matilda's my only adult so far anyway. The golden child, she is so little. She's a, hey buddy. Anyway, so she's a, gosh, I just completely lost my train of thought. Neighbors get just randomly. Anyway, the golden child is gonna stay incredibly small, which I'm excited about because go get the dogs out of here.
All right, y'all. So that's the wrap for today. Really good show. I actually like doing the homework for this one. I normally don't like doing homework, but I actually like doing the homework for it. It was very interesting. We learned.
Yeah, it's fun.
We learned so much, and I hope you guys learned something too. I just think it's important. Like if you're going hiking, this is my takeaway. If you're going hiking in Northern America, you definitely want to print them all out because all the rattlesnakes are different. So you want to print them all out, and you want to make sure that you have something in your backpack so you'll be able to identify by picture which one it is, and then you'll know what course of action to take. And that's all we have. Morgan, you got any takeaways?
No, I think we covered a lot. This is a very fun topic. I enjoyed doing the research for it and talking about it. So I think we covered everything.
Have an amazing Monday, and we will be seeing you guys next Monday. I don't know. Give us some topic ideas. Inbox IG, Miss Exotics on IG, or Lady Kids Exotics on IG, and just give us some ideas of some topics you might want us to cover, and then we'll get together and we'll cover it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, nephew.
Y'all have a good week.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye, Morgan.
Bye. See you later.